Hi, my name is Ryan Hall. It's an introduction, James Bond. So distinctive, so original. I don't think anybody had ever heard that anybody introducing himself quite like that on film in 1962 when Sean Connery, who was only 32 years old, burst onto the screen, brought Ian Fleming's character from his best-selling novels to life. It was, I think, very few moments in film history are really as important as that moment. And the music, the girls, the cars, the guns, the attitude, the dress sense. I don't think anybody had seen films quite like this in 1962. And I think it changed film and the way people made action films in America as well as Britain forever. The Monty Norman theme with the guitar, just so distinctive, and it's a theme that sort of aged very well. I think the use of the guitar, especially. By the way, my name's Ryan Hall. I run Iconic Film Style on Instagram, and now I have a vlog page. And I wanted to do a vlog about James Bond. Obviously, James Bond's one of the reasons that I started the Instagram page, and it's had a big influence in my life from a young child, and continues to be something I always go back to. The films, I've read some of the novels as well, and very strong opinions on who's the best Bond and the best Bond films, in my opinion. So we'll delve into a bit of that, and also I'll come up with what I call my top 5 Bond outfits as well. And probably one of them I'm wearing now is the classic navy blazer. But I've got an amalgam between the Roger Moore and Sean Connery, wearing the single-breasted blazer, the light blue, pale blue shirt, navy tie, but with khaki trousers, which was more in line with Roger Moore than Sean Connery. Always wore grey trousers with his navy blazers. So that's something we'll delve into. So I have to say, Bond sort of came to my life. I reckon I was 5 or 6. I would have started seeing the films at the video shop. The covers were always very distinctive because of the film posters. So there was a gap between License to Kill in 1989, which starred Timothy Dalton, and then 1995 when Pierce Brosnan became Bond. So 6 years in between there, where they weren't making any Bond films. So I'm born in 1986, so this is actually quite important for me because there's no new Bond films, but there's all the old films on VHS. So, which is really, it was a seminal time for VHS. Kids and adults obviously renting a lot of VHSs. So they had the whole Bond collection up to the License to Kill film at the video shop. So I saw a lot of them as a kid. I think my earliest memory, I think I saw Diamonds Are Forever when I would have been maybe 6, and had a big impact on me, this character James Bond. Looking back on it, it's probably a little bit too advanced for me, but like a lot of films, like say Look Who's Talking, for example, it looks like an innocent comedy, but actually it's quite adult. Kids don't really get that sort of stuff. What you see, especially the Bond films, is the action, and a character like Sean Connery. So definitely had an impact on me. And I'll put on some music, sort of set the scene a bit. So Diamonds Are Forever, and of course music with the Bond films being so important, the famous John Barry theme, sang by Shirley Bassey, who did Goldfinger. So it's not one of the best Bond films, but it's got some nice clothes worn by Sean Connery. He's 41 when he makes it. He's starting to look noticeably a little bit older. Obviously, significant hairpiece, but we can't do much about that. But a pretty good introduction for Bond. So I was liking the Bond films from a very young age, and then of course, 1995. Pierce Brosnan burst onto the screen, reviving Bond, most definitely reviving the character, reviving the films to great success in GoldenEye. So that was the first Bond film I saw at the cinema, and that had a huge impact on me. For a time, inspired, like I really wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be like Pierce Brosnan. So that did have a big impact on me. And just, I think the look of Pierce Brosnan, tall and slim, dark-haired, he very much captured the literary descriptions of Bond, rugged looks, and yeah, very much captured what I think Ian Fleming wanted Bond to look like, most definitely. So so that's hugely popular. And then of course the video game, which I was a huge fan of, and a lot of my friends played with me. I got that for Christmas in 1997. So that also continued my love of GoldenEye, and it's a film I always go back to. So, my top five favorite James Bond films. I'll start at number one and work my way back. And this list is my opinion. May not be your opinion, but that's the good thing about it. We can all have our favorite Bond films. So, my favourite is definitely From Russia with Love. I think it is the best Bond film ever made. Sean Connery's second film, follow-up to Dr. No. The story is very traditional spy story. You get the Russians in there, you've got Spectre. I think probably captures the feel of Ian Fleming's books, probably the best of that era. Connery's at his best, still quite young. You got Robert Shaw, this Red Grant, who was a great villain. The introduction of Ernst Stavro Blofeld, even though you don't know his name's Blofeld at that point. I still think it's the best. I still think Sean Connery is the best Bond. I do like Daniel Craig, but to me, it's Sean Connery, and I'm a big Pierce Brosnan fan, but to me, it's Sean Connery. I just think nobody's ever going to be as good. Then my second would have to be GoldenEye. As I've mentioned, I'm a big fan of GoldenEye. I just think it's a really good Bond film. It really revived the series. It's very important. The action stunts are fantastic. The dive off the bungee jump off the dam at the start of the film. I think Pierce Brosnan's amazing in it, charming, and dangerous too. I think he captured that very much so. And then we sort of have to go on to, I still was heavily influenced by Roger Moore. Roger Moore became Bond in 1973. He's really my grandfather's Bond because he was a huge fan of The Saint and a fan of Roger Moore himself. Live and Let Die was a film I watched a lot as a kid. It's a really cool action film. It does have a bit of that blaxploitation. I think Roger Moore, from the get-go, really made the part his own and really wanted to be different than Sean Connery, especially the way he dressed, which is a little bit more fashionable, 1970s fashionable, trendy. So I think he was great, charming and witty, and there's a lot of humour in his films. But I think Live and Let Die for me is the film of his I always go back to, even though I do enjoy all of his films. Even up to the Octopussy, For Your Eyes Only era. And A View to a Kill was a film of his, Bond film, his last one I watched a lot as a kid. Not the best, but entertaining. So that was a film I definitely went back to. I do like his overcoat in it, and then we would have to go. Obviously, the modern Bond is Daniel Craig, great Bond, Casino Royale. I didn't like Quantum of Solace as much when I first saw it. I sort of warmed to it a bit more now. I find it very fast. I find the cinematography very fast. But I think really Daniel Craig's best is Skyfall. He captures the inner torment of the character, you know, because that does linger in Fleming's books, that he's sort of a bit depressed. The job sort of wears down on him, and he does drink considerably. And in the novels and some of the films, obviously smokes a lot. But I think that sort of captured Bond, the character, more. People will say it's not the best Bond film. It's a very good film. Sometimes it doesn't quite feel like a Bond film in parts. It feels just like an action film, but I think it's Daniel Craig's best, and the one he will be remembered for more than any of the others. I mean, I'm sure No Time to Die is coming out soon. It's fantastic, but I think Skyfall was his peak. It was his Goldfinger, most definitely. And then I'd have to say Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton was a film that sort of harkens back to my childhood. I watched it a lot. I think Timothy Dalton's great in it. From the get-go, he's just established himself as a younger, fitter Bond, not as serious as Roger Moore, but younger. And I just think the film is good. Even for, like, you know, it's got that 1987, a little bit of that 87 feel to it, but of the whole, it's very, very classic. And yeah, I think Dalton was a great Bond, but he just fortunately only stuck around for 2 films. So to go to my top 5 favourite Bond outfits, probably number 1 is the Glenn Check, which has appeared. Glenn Check suits appeared in a lot of Bond films. Obviously, Sean Connery famously wore variations in From Russia with Love, my favourite Bond film. And then you see Daniel Craig in No Time to Die wearing Glenn Checks, and he wore a blue Glenn Check suit in Spectre, and Pierce Brosnan's wore Glenn Check. George Lazenby. I think the only one that's really not worn it is Roger Moore, I'm pretty sure. But it's a classic Bond suit, different variations, black and white, black and grey check, and then you've got the blue check suit from Spectre. But yeah, I just love the look of it. It's a fun looking suit, not too stodgy, and it gives off that elegant Bond look, no matter really what the cut is. I think the grey sort of tone looks great on Sean Connery with his colouring, and even, you know, with Daniel Craig, who's a lot fairer. But I think it's just classic, and to me that is Bond, even in many ways more than the dinner suits. Then number 2 would have to be the Navy Blazer, which I'm wearing one at the moment. I love it because so many variations you can have within that Navy sports jacket variation. You can pair it with khaki trousers, stone colour trousers, tobacco colour trousers, something more casual, or you can do the dark grey trousers like Sean Connery famously wore, single-breasted, double-breasted, different fabrics. Could be like a twill serge like this jacket, or it could be a hop sack wool, which is like like Roger Moore famously wore, which is a lighter, more summer weight. So yeah, I just think the versatility of them. They can be formal, they can be more casual, never go out of style. Even the double-breasted ones, when the cut's right, and pretty much all the Bonds have worn them, bar Daniel Craig. Timothy Dalton didn't, but he did wear a sports jacket in Living Daylights. Pierce Brosnan's the last Bond to wear one. It was a double-breasted, which he wore with sand-coloured trousers and a French blue open-neck shirt, very casual, and even he wore it open for even more of a laid-back look. It was a nice Brioni blazer, and it's very much the uniform of Roger Moore, which harkened back to his years as the Saint. And then really when I think of the Navy Blazer, it's Sean Connery with the dark grey trousers, the pale blue shirt, and the navy tie, which I've worn a lot. I just think it's a classic, doesn't go out of date, and you can change the buttons away from metal, different colours, to make sure it's not too security guard-ish, which some people see that image. I personally don't, but some people do. These are like a brown horn button, which are different, but very versatile. And I mean, even if you got one suit, a navy serge suit, you can use the jacket as a blazer. It does work, but only with a solid jacket, of course. Sort of, I guess the tan suits that have been in the series, obviously Roger Moore wore many. He's worn a tan sports jacket, Live and Let Die. He famously wore tan suits in Octopussy and View to a Kill. He wore a light brown suit from For Your Eyes Only, and it's very Roger Moore-ish, but then again, Timothy Dalton's wore a tan suit, Pierce Brosnan's wore a tan suit, Daniel Craig he's worn sort of like cream coloured, sort of oatmeal coloured linen suits, and the famous light brown jacket, which he wears in Morocco with the khaki chinos, harkens back to that look. So Sean Connery didn't, but he did wear a cream suit in Diamonds Are Forever. So tan and cream, you know, the perfect summer suits, and you can get them in different weights. Obviously your wool gabardine, something a little bit heavier on the summer side, spring side, and then of course famously linen or cotton blends. I just think it's the suit you really should have in your closet for those casual summer days. And I just think it's very Bondian, especially when you're in Africa, and the fact that Bond's cruising around like Live and Let Die wearing a tan suit, I just think is really, really cool, because he still wants to look well dressed even in that location. Number 4 would be the shawl collar cardigan, which Daniel Craig brought back. Big influence on me. I wear a navy shawl collar cardigan a lot, especially in winter and autumn when it's quite cold here in Australia, because I live in the southern end. I think it's a classic look. You can wear a t-shirt under it, you can wear a polo shirt under it, you can wear a shirt under it, something a bit more dressy with chinos or other pants. You can wear grey wool pants. It's just a great look, and of course it's famously taken from Steve McQueen, really, but I just think it's a great look. Craig brought it back in Casino Royale. It was a black shawl collar cardigan, then brought another one when Tom Ford came into the mix for clothes in Quantum of Solace. I just think it's fantastic, and it looked great on Craig in Quantum of Solace, wearing the white shirt with the khaki jeans and the black shawl collar cardigan. It was a great look, and I think it's a look people think back on. It's one of my favourites. Number 5 would be the tweed jacket, the barley corn tweed jacket Sean Connery wore. It's just a great casual jacket that hasn't dated too much. It's still got a trim fit. He wore trim fawn coloured trousers with it, a little bit contrasting. Mason and Sons have famously done their own version of it, which looks brilliant and something I want to get in my closet. I've got tweed jackets, but not brown. I've got some brown corduroy, very fine corduroy jackets, which is similar. I just think it's iconic. It's that Goldfinger Sean Connery look. And then, of course, when you look at Daniel Craig's brown jacket from Spectre, it's the lighter weight, unstructured with the chinos. But I think that was the look they were going for with the knitted tie, like Connery wore, different colour, but very similar, sort of a summer version of it. I think it's classic. I think it works in tweed. I think it works in the linen, a linen blend. Yeah, so that's my personal top 5, what I would consider. And then I guess my favourite dinner suit. I still can't get past the shawl collar. I think Connery and Dr. No, most definitely. And then Daniel Craig famously wore it again in Skyfall. Looks like he's wearing it again. The Atticus Tom Ford model in No Time to Die. Pink lapel's fantastic, more formal, but I can't get past the shawl collar for me. I've got a French Navy shawl collar dinner suit, which I wore for my wedding suit with a black shawl collar. Something I've gone back to wear to other formal events. I want to get a darker one, probably black or midnight blue, but for me it's elegant, and you see a lot of peak lapels these days, even though peak lapels are very formal and fit dinner jackets perfectly. I feel like you see them a lot. I just like the classic shawl collar. That's just me. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions about other Bond clothes, Bond films, or even stuff about the Bond actors. I'm happy to answer your questions, and thanks for tuning in.